Hey, everybody, we want to welcome you to Heart with Dan and Angela.
Hi, everyone.
And we're looking forward to sharing a little thought or two with you tonight. And what we wanted to talk about tonight, me and Angela, was we got a video. We saw a video that was sent to me. And I believe it was a Jehovah's Witness. I'm sure it was because Jehovah's Witnesses has sent me that. And basically, it was a guy sitting in the truck. And you guys may have seen this, but he was sitting in the truck with his two kids.
And they were darling.
And they were darling. The one boy was just, kind of admiring his dad. He just had this big smile, all playful. And then the little girl was in the back seat and she was looking around the corner, like that, just kind of peeking and grinning. And it was the cutest picture.
It was.
And then there was another picture right under it. And we scrolled up, and underneath that picture, I just want to make sure this is loud enough. Yep. And underneath that picture was another picture, and it was him crying. And it said this was the last shot of his face before he killed himself.
And it was the same clothes, same everything. So literally, within just a short time, his attitude changed. And he looked really good in the picture with his kids.
He did.
He looked
peaceful
great. And calm. And I don't know. You would never know anything was wrong in a million years. You just wouldn't.
Yeah, and they gave a little bit of a story about him. They basically said that he was trying to get some money from the I think it was the check cashing company or something.
Like Money Tree or a PayDay Loans.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've done that. I mean, me and Angela's done that when we started our business. You have to stretch the money. You have to borrow a little bit to get you through, like bridge loans, they call them. Most people in business have to have what they call bridge loans to do payroll and different things. But anyway, it didn't go well. I don't know that the money didn't come through or it was delayed or whatever. But his thought was the kids would be better off without me. That's sickening.
It is sickening.
The kids would not be better off without you.
No.
The kids don't care if you're broke. The kids don't care if you got to go get food stamps. The kids don't care if you got to borrow money. They love dad. They want dad. They want mom. But for whatever reason, this guy had this programming that, he wasn't good enough. And it made me wonder. It made me think about when I left the Witnesses. I just happened to go through a divorce at the same time. My wife just disappeared, just left me after 17 years. And I came home and my house was packed up and all the furniture was gone. I looked around. I thought, man, somebody broke into my house because I had two little girls. And I looked around and the TV was gone or the computer was gone, but this was still there. And
beds were gone.
Yeah. And then I finally went upstairs and I saw the kids' beds were gone. I thought, uh-oh. What happened? Well, I told a guy that I knew at work, I said, you ought to come to my house. This was that afternoon.
The same day.
I said, yeah. I said, you ought to come to my house. And if you want to know what love looks like, come on over. We got a new house, brand new house, just built, and two beautiful kids, and, blah, blah, blah. And my house was empty. And my wife left a note, said, I'm off this train and I'm never going to return. Well, it was weird, but it's weird, but all the JW programming that we've had, kind of kicked in at that moment. And I was contemplating leaving too, but she left before me, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, all this guilt came in, you're not good enough. You never went to college. You didn't get a degree. She always wanted to go to college, and she actually started college. You know what I mean? So we thought when we left the Witnesses that, she would go to school and get her degree that she always wanted to do. So we were all excited. And, but anyway, she wanted to be free. And I had to go through this guilt. And it was this programming. I don't know where it came from. I actually know where it came from now. It was Watchtower. Watchtower had programmed me. And I realized that, all those scriptures we've heard for all those years, Romans, when I wish to do good, bad is present with me. Miserable man. Think about calling myself that. Miserable man. Who will rescue you from undergoing this death? You know what I mean? And the wicked, those out there that aren't a part of our little group, those out there that are just dating and going to work, wicked people. there'll be no more. You give attention to their place, and there will not be. But we will possess the earth, whoever we are.
Yeah.
And so I didn't realize, and I wonder if that guy would have still been alive if he had never had those implants. I call them scriptural implants of negativity. And there's quite the controversy in the scripture. If you ever actually start looking through the scripture, you'll see that there's so many places that you're a prince, you know, what God made is good and very good. And then you can see the exact opposite 2 pages over. You know, you're miserable, you're no good, you know, you're going to die. And it's a mess. Were you going to say something, Angela?
No, I mean, but you're right, Dan, about the programming. It's pretty severe. And I think that it's not just this religion either.
Oh,
It's
man.
really not. And I just wish that the guy would have just been able to have a little bit of a break, like, I don't know, take a breather, take a walk around the block. There's so many avenues, different ways of choosing to deal with this. But when you think you're a good for nothing slave and, oh my gosh, I made a horrible mistake, I should never have left. That's why God's cursing me right now. That's why I went to go get this money and I was turned down
That must
because
be
I've done bad. I've done bad.
Nothing's working
And
out.
it's not just Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, and anyone who leaves a cult, that programming starts coming back in your mind, and you start freaking out, thinking, "Oh my God, I've made a mistake. God's cursing me."
You went through that too, didn't you?
Yeah.
When you last called, you were in.
Yes, absolutely. And I remember my dad thinking that, oh my gosh, it's because I didn't keep the Sabbath day holy. I had to work on the Sabbath. So in my church, the Worldwide Church of God, we kept the Saturday Sabbath, and it was from sundown to sundown. And if you didn't do that perfectly, then, you know, my dad had this idea that when bad things would happen, it's because he broke a law and God's after me. God is mad at me. He's angry and I'm being punished. See, so this kid probably thought something like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You know,
definitely.
and he didn't feel like he could go to his dad or his mom. You know, I don't know if that's because of shame, because he's a man and he doesn't want to go ask his parents for help, or is it because he had left the church and had nowhere to go in his own mind? He had no one to turn to. And I think that probably is more plausible in this case, being that this video came from a Jehovah's Witness on a Jehovah's Witness, ex-Jehovah's Witness site. I think that's probably more plausible of what happened. But, you know, I just want to say this. This is going to happen when you leave. Your mind is just going to do this. And I saw Dan, he'd been out already for years. And then his brother started calling a whole lot after I married Dan. And I remember him just listening, and I could see his face turn kind of ashen white. And I could see it was affecting him. It was bothering him. Like, maybe I have made a mistake. Maybe I do need to go back. And oh my God, now I've married another woman who's not a JW. You know, all kinds of thoughts were going in his head. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that was part of the reason that I ran back. I grew, you know, I was born and raised a Jehovah's Witness, but I wasn't, you know, baptized until later, you know, in my 20s, you know what I mean? But I was born and raised, and then I got away from the faith and I married outside of the
A
faith,
Catholic,
a
actually.
Catholic woman.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do Christmas. I couldn't do things. I was trying to get her to study after I met her, and, you know, I was trying to get her to study, and they did start studying with her a little bit. And I thought, well, they said, well, Dan, you know, get married. You know, you need to get married. So we got married. And anyway, she left, and I did the same thing. I blamed it on, it wasn't that I, you know, really truthfully, it was the best thing that happened, because I couldn't celebrate Christmas. I couldn't celebrate birthdays real well. I had a guilty conscience, and I did want her secretly to become a witness like me, but her mother secretly wanted me to become a Catholic like them.
And you went to catechism.
So I went to the catechism class, and I started studying with them, but I just wasn't doing anything good. I saw the teacher smoking. I thought, they don't do that in our faith, you know?
Yeah, and then when she left him, or kind of surround, I won't tell the whole story, but the terrible thing happened and she left. And so then Dan felt that he was cursed. Like,
I
oh
did.
my God,
I felt like I got away from Jehovah, and this is what happens.
yeah, so he
Just
ran
what the
back.
society said. I wonder where that program came in.
Yep, so Dan ran back.
So I ran back full force, you know, got baptized, started studying with the brothers, studied a couple of books, and then I got baptized, and, you know, and the rest was history. Became a ministerial servant. And
of course, he felt like a huge failure, because to Dan, marriage, if you get divorced, it's the end of the world.
oh,
yeah.
I thought I was destroyed. I actually had to do a little therapy over it, because I never saw divorce in my family. You know, even though my family were witnesses, my dad loved my mother and my mother loved my dad. So when this woman, like stole this part of me, just walked away from me, I was like, whoa, yeah, I thought I was dead. I thought I was just garbage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so anyway,
Yeah, she didn't exactly walk away. It was something different. But anyway, it was very hard for Dan to deal with. And I think that would be a time where somebody is a Jehovah's Witness who left the faith and went off on and did these things, got married to somebody outside the faith. Well, you could get in a suicidal place. I mean, especially
yeah.
if your family's shunning you because of it and whatnot. And so you guys,
But and I would just want to say
yeah.
right here, all these places are normal. In the world, people get married, divorced, things don't work out. They don't run off and blame God and do all these weird things. They
That's
just say,
true.
well, she had some problems, I had some problems. It would probably be better, that if she went on and did marry a Catholic, and they could worship together. And, that makes sense. If you're a
Right.
Jehovah's Witness, you should probably find a witness, or a Christian.
Yeah.
You should probably find a Christian, or you are going to be two different breeds within the same house,
Yeah, Dan naturally would have thought that if he was not a Jehovah's Witness or in a cult where you have these ideas that God's after you because you've done something wrong. I mean, it's just crazy. But in my religion, it was the same thing. When you do the slightest little thing wrong and you think that God's mad at you. I mean, I'm still struggling with that a little bit, to be honest with you. I'm almost over it, but it does slip in a little bit here and there. And I know Dan will say something once in a while. That programming, it's a hard time getting it out. But we just want to encourage you there's so many things that Dan and I did in that moment where, like when my ex left me and I was trying to face that and deal with that in my soul. And I mean, I'll tell you what, I knew I wasn't going to make it. And I cried out to God. I said, God, I'm not going to make it. If you don't help me, I'm not going to make it. You know it. I know it. Please, you said that, you would put the will to do according to your will into me, according to your will. And so, Lord, you said that you would do that. Cause me to do your will. And so you're going to have to do it. And if you don't do it, I'm not going to make it, plain and simple. And I knew I was dying. And so anyway, God, like literally, it's like he was waiting for me to say the prayer. Please help me, God. Please help me. I'm not going to make it. And I stood on the word, that he said that he would put the will into action, is how I say it, to will and to do according to his will. And so I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. You can see that. And so please, God, help me. And within hours, I got help. So I just want to say, that's number one to me. When you feel like you want to kill yourself, or you're not going to make it, that, yeah, I think God's mad at me. I think he hates me. That's where I was at actually at that moment. And I even told him that too. I know you're not happy with me. I know you hate me, but, and so I cried out to him. And within, it feels like it was minutes. It wasn't, it was more like, half an hour. I got help. I was led to go to the grocery store to pick up some things in the middle of the night. And I wasn't that far from a grocery store, and ran into two ladies. They both saw that, I think they saw that I was going down. And they both offered them. Oddly, they asked if I wanted to go to their churches. And I think I'm going to guess it was Friday. So on Sunday, I went to one of the ladies' churches, and I'm telling you what, my whole life turned upside down. God was there for me. Even before I got to the church on Sunday, I was hearing things on the radio, that if you feel isolated, you feel this, you feel that, there's probably something wrong and you need to get some help. And I just felt like I was being guided, and I really was. I was being guided, and I got out of my terrible situation and began my trek to, be insane, to being healthy once again, and mentally, emotionally, physically, every which way. And God was there. So that's step number one to me, is even if you think God hates you and is disappointed in you, which is what me and Dan both have had that experience, and we cried out to God anyway, and God helped us in our most dire straits. And he seemed extremely glad to do it, like as if he was waiting with bated breath for us to get to that moment, is what it seemed like to us. And so, and he absolutely, both of us had several occasions where it was immediately dealt with, immediately resolved, immediately help came. And so we just want to say, number one, cry out to God. God, help me. Just say it, even if you think he hates you. Number two is, if you can't do that because you're super mad at God, which is a possibility. I certainly was in that place that I was in, where I was nearly dead, dying at least. That's kind of hard sometimes. We're angry with God, and we just can't. So in that case, this is what we want to suggest to you. Take a walk in nature. Get around people that are lesser off than you. I don't know, go to the hospital, sit in the waiting room, in the emergency room, and see those less fortunate than you, and pray for them. If you feel so led to do that, that's one thing. Take a walk in nature. If you have a dog, go with your dog. If you don't have a dog, maybe get a dog. Very, very helpful. Listen to some really good quality, uplifting music. Really, really helpful. I can recommend an album too, if you could get it. It's called I Know the Plans by Melody Beattie. My dad sent it to me. My dad told me that saved his life. And you know what? Oddly, I didn't know that at the time. He didn't tell me that. But he gave me that album, and I literally laid in all night long for nights after night listening to that album. And it just made me feel like, no, even though I'm in this low estate, God is with me. God loves me. And it just made you very sure of that. Very, very powerful album. Saved my life, saved my dad's life. Really incredible. So I would definitely recommend it highly. Another thing that you can do is go to any, well, I'm going to say a rescue mission. So I know of these ones, okay? I know the Union Rescue Mission. I know the Boston Rescue Mission, the Denver Rescue Mission, the Boise Rescue Mission. They're all over the place. There's others. I can't think of them right now, but there are many, many rescue missions that are Christian based, and they are strict, but really, really helpful. Really take, especially, I would have to say, especially women with children, they're first and foremost, but they have men's divisions and women's divisions. They don't have family, like Salvation Army has family, a thing where they help the family get back on their feet. They don't have that, the rescue missions, from what I can tell. It's just men being helped and the women being helped with the children. And that's how they work. That's how they roll. So if you need help, if you go online, you can go to the library for free, and you can get on there and just get the resources. Just call it resources, and then put your city name, and it'll pop up different resources. Tons of places that you can call for housing, for food, for food banks, all kinds of things like that. Just know that there's lots of help. And for the asking, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, for help, it's amazing what will pop up your way. The strangest things will happen. Someone will just, offer you a kindness, ask for help. They want to pay you. You name it, a million gazillion ways that just seem like it's just like, wow, that seemed like sudden good luck. Well, it was God answering, I assure you. But it's subtle, how God is subtle, but he brings help when you need it. So then
I had a guy hand me $1,000.
Oh, that's right.
Come up to the side of my car, and he saw my seat was broke off, and he just reached in his pocket and he pulled out an envelope. It was like he had it, cash. It was $1,000 cash. It came out of nowhere, and also he gave me a bunch of furniture and different things. And I just want to say too, if you're suicidal, you want to dial 911. You want to talk to a therapist. We're not therapists here.
There's a suicide hotline.
Yeah.
Darn it. You know what? I should have had that ready to go. But I know where that's at.
Okay.
So in our site called prodigaljourneys.com. Prodigal, Prodigal, journeys, JOURNEYS.com. We've got a huge bunch of resources of every kind for help. And one of those is the hotline. There's all kinds of JW help. Now, I'm not saying that all of them are great. They're just a bunch of resources of helps of every kind for Jehovah's Witnesses. There's also a list of books that Dan and I recommend that really, really helped us in our really bad and dark time, as well as movies that helped and changed our lives in a really dark time that helped us get through. But there's a lot. Housing, there's everything in there. So just please check it out, because it's really, really chock full of help. And you can always get hold of me and Dan, but there is help out there, and God will send the right help for you, and you're not alone. Please don't feel that way. It's a trick of the enemy. In my way, it's a saboteur, it's the liar trying to tell us that we're no good, and that God doesn't love us, no one loves us, and we're alone, and there's no one to help. No, It's never, never, never the truth. There is
Yeah.
never the truth. I felt like I had no one in my worst time. And I went to the grocery store and two ladies offered me help. And I chose the one. Matter of fact, the one lady I chose even took me out to her car and prayed with me for a long time. And was so kind, gave me hugs and all of that. I mean, can you believe this? In the middle of the night. That's how quick God was to give me help. That's pretty
Yeah,
sweet.
that's amazing.
It is.
That's amazing.
And I survived because of that lady and that church that she took me to that Sunday. It all started there. So anyway,
And these people know where you've been. I mean, when you tell them you've been a Jehovah's Witness or you've been in a cult, they can see the brain damage. They can see that you're stuck in your head and you're just looping. That you're not good. You remember when I told you I got in that fight with God?
yes.
I told God, I said, take me out of here. Why would I ask God to take me out of here? Why would I say take me out of here? Because in my head there was a program that says you're not good. In Watchtower, you were told you didn't pass out enough magazines. You should be a ministerial servant by now. You should be an elder. You should be a pioneer. You should be. And so anyway, you never felt like you were enough. So when I came out of the witnesses and went through that divorce, it was like my whole infrastructure was gone.
Yeah.
So I said the same thing you did. I must not be no good. I must be trash. That's why my wife left me. I must be no good. And like Angela said, man, you just tell God I need a little help here. I need some help. It ain't a big conversion thing. It isn't going to churches and just saying I believe. It's hey God, I need a little help here. I'm lost. I need some help. I even had a guy give me a car. He went down and co-signed for me a car. He said, my God, you need a place to live. And he co-signed for me an apartment, really nice apartment.
Yeah.
I'm talking in the nicest part, one of the nicest parts of Denver. I mean, it was called Ironstone. It was a
beautiful.
high-end, man, fireplace. And he goes, let's get you some furniture in there. And he got me some furniture. And another guy gave me a whole living room set of beautiful furniture and stuff, all free.
Yeah.
And a bed. And then he bought me a big down comforter. And the only thing left I needed was a kitchen table and some chairs. So I had that all gifted to me.
Yeah.
And
I had the same
furniture.
thing when I left too. Same exact thing happened to me, identical. Dan had some friend who said, hey, I've got a couch that, a really nice couch that is down in my basement. I don't need it. And it was heavy, but it was a blessing. And and then there were some things out. I needed a vacuum cleaner really badly. And lo and behold, I said, Lord, I need a vacuum cleaner. And lo and behold, there's a brand new vacuum cleaner that got clogged up really, really bad. So I got frustrated with it at the apartment building that I went and lived at, my first one. And there was, I grabbed it out of the trash, took it up, and we went through it, dug out, and found all this clogged up stuff in there. And I had a brand new vacuum cleaner. And I got some furniture and all kinds of beautiful plants and things to decorate my place that were in the trash.
Oh, yeah.
Because of a model home that was empty because it was going to be sold. And so I got all of that,
All the
pictures,
decorations.
yeah, plants, all kinds of things I still have today.
Matching dresser.
Yeah, a desk that matched my dresser, which I use for my desk for, so I can start, use it for my little computer that I have. So anyway, God is good to us. And, when we thought we didn't deserve it, when we thought he hated us, we both experienced incredible, immense givingness. Really asking an angry God we thought was angry.
Yeah,
with
the
us.
programming from religion, most religions, was a lie.
Yeah.
It was an absolute lie.
Absolutely.
And I want to say this, and I want you guys to remember this. I really do. I want you to remember this. This is something that came to me later in life. You know what I mean? But it's that God Almighty, doesn't create junk. Now, here's the thing. People say, oh, that's a fancy saying. That's a cute saying, Dan. God doesn't make junk. Who made me? Who made you? Who put you together in the womb just as you were? With all your frailties, all your mistakes. It says God knows the beginning from the end, right? So he knows your beginning and end.
No, he knows the end from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. But anyway, he knows kind of in a sense, like our whole life, right?
Yes.
So when he made us, right, I didn't put myself together. I did not get myself here. I did not bring myself here. I didn't say, in a sense, like, okay, I'm going to put myself together and come in through this life and be in. No, someone else did. God did. And so that God is not capable of making junk. So I came in with all the stuff that God knew that I was going to overcome, alcoholism and amongst other things, many other things that I was going to have to overcome, and Angela was going to have to overcome. And the guys in other countries, war, poverty, sickness, food shortages. Some people are born and they eat out of a garbage dump every day. I mean, they do. They go through the dump and they have diseases and they just eat whatever they can find, and that's their lot, And then our lot was born into these different type religions, but it's interesting that God is the one who brought me here. So I would say God does not make junk. God is good. And he said, what I made is very good. That's you and me. So we can't let religion, we can't let these programmers that keep us disabled, that keep us sick. What is worse than a person telling you that you're just a no good sinner? You wouldn't do that to your own kid. You wouldn't wake up every morning and say, now remember, you're a no good sinner.
No.
You wouldn't do that year after year and just say, you're just fortunate to be here. You're very fortunate to be here. And just have this unempowered, because those who do good are they say you want to hang around people who build you up. I would say for the most part, the church don't do that. We've been in too many churches. They tell you, take a seat in the back and listen to us. It's no different than the witnesses. It's like reinventing the Jehovah's Witnesses.
It's true.
Over again.
Yeah.
It's just another set of ideology, another set of scriptures,
Right.
another set of this.
Dogma.
And you got to believe what they do or you're out. Not as extreme as the Jehovah's Witnesses, but think about that. If God made you in the womb, knitted you together in the womb, I think the Bible says it like that, doesn't it?
Yes.
Then he's not capable of making junk. So
or hating what he made.
So the things that you got to overcome, whether it's sex addiction, most of your sex addiction is not sex addiction. I'm going to tell you that right now. Most of your sex addiction isn't sex addiction. You were made to become fruitful and become many and fill the earth. You were made to be attracted to the opposite sex. They were made to be attracted to you. At a certain age, your eyes kind of open up and you say, wow, she's cute. Wow, she's beautiful. Wow, she's whatever, right? And so, there's extremes to it. I just want to say there's extremes to sex, and you got to bring that into balance. But you're going to have to do that without the church or with the church. The church has all these different programs. They say, oh, yeah, you're sexually addicted. Go that way. Go into Celebrate Recovery or go to, But I just want to say you're going to deal with that sort of thing, adolescence, sex, when you start waking up, maybe your teenage years, maybe it's earlier, maybe it's later. But as those things start to wake up, you're going to have to deal with them. You're going to have to find a way to balance them and, and bring everything into kind of homeostasis and, as best that you can. And it's harder when you're younger, right? And if you're born in and you love alcohol and you find out you're abusing alcohol, well, you got to go down and maybe to go to AA or go somewhere where you can get some help. How do I bring this back into balance? Or maybe I have to get off it altogether. Maybe I have to just say, I can't drink at all. I do bad things when I drink. I get in trouble when I drink. And all these different things. So whatever it is, you're going to go through it. Whatever, I don't even want to call it sin nature, because that just means missing the mark, by the way. It doesn't mean you're a murderous killer because you're a sinner, like the church tries to tell you. It just means that you missed the mark. You're going to do it better the next time. You're going to do it better tomorrow, hopefully, or maybe not. Maybe it'll take you 10 years to overcome and do it better. And so, but God made you. He knew that that's what you were going to do. But like Angela said, there's a lot of help out there. You just, whatever it is you need, you just go online. You can go on Facebook, you can go on YouTube, you can go on, Google.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing, because the thing is, think about this. King David in the Bible, okay, King David, he wanted this woman. And so he had her husband be on the front line of this war that was going on so that he would be killed so that he could have this woman. Bathsheba was her name. So a lot of you know that, and I'm not trying to insult you. But anyway, he took her and got her pregnant. And so then I
cover
think
up
he
the
did.
adultery.
I think, yeah. So he was trying to cover it up, and he didn't confess to that. But anyway, he finally got found out about a year-ish later. Nathan, the prophet Nathan, yeah, that's who it was, came to him and said these things, and then said, "How'd you deal with that, David?" And King David said, "Well, the man should be killed." And so he says, "Well, you are the man." And so it was about the adultery. And so here, I just want to say this, that did God abandon King David because he did that? No, he didn't. There was some consequences to it, and that child did die. But God never stopped loving King David, in spite of the fact that he did that. He stole someone's wife and had the man killed. And so, well, I mean, I'm just saying, what have you done? And if you are somebody who's dealing with this sort of thing, that is equally as bad, maybe.
Premeditated murder and adultery.
So are you somebody that God hates then? Because you've done some things you should not have done? I just want to say, God still loved very, very deeply and very, very much King David, and never stopped loving him. There are consequences to the things that we do, and they can get us into some real trouble, but God does not stop loving us. So I just want to say that if you're thinking that I'm going to go kill myself because I've done something along the line of this, don't do it, because King David was a mighty, mighty man throughout history and well loved, and he did many amazing things and changed this whole world. So just because you screw up royally doesn't mean you should go kill yourself. So I'm just saying. Also,
and everybody's doing it. Everybody screws up. Everybody makes major mistakes, and gets divorced. I mean, everybody just talk to somebody. They'll tell you about the horror story about the abuse they went through in their family. I mean, I thought I went through some kind of abuse until I started going to some of these recovery classes, and I realized I haven't had any abuse compared to most of these people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Dan. And then also just kind of about the resources Dan was talking about.
Yeah.
Let me go back to that. But there's this one saying that's really helped Dan and I a lot, and especially when times are really, really kind of scary, creepy, slim, whatever you want to say. But we have it on a refrigerator still. But it says this: God is the source of my supply. And then we read the line again, but we've emphasized the second word: God is the source of my supply. Now say it out loud. You think you get goosebumps, you can't help it. God is the source of my supply. God is the source of my supply. God is the source of my supply, and God is the source of my supply. And if you say that, you just get goosebumps. And whatever you need, not just financial, whatever you need. And so I don't know, I just want to throw that out because it really has helped us.
We used to both say that together, and it's sort of single focus on God. It says in Proverbs, it says, seek the Lord, do not trust in your own understanding, and all your ways take notice of him. And I myself will make your path straight. And so that's what that statement does. God is the source of my supply. God is the source. God is the source of mine. God is the source of my supply. And so we used to say that over and over. And boy, we'd feel really strong after that. And usually work would come out of nowhere. Things would just show up.
Phone call, all kinds of things. And let's say you're in dire straits like that kid who killed himself, and you were to say that and say it about 5 times or 6, and maybe you did that every day, twice a day. I assure you, things are going to happen. Expect a miracle. Absolutely.
And you realize you're not alone. You realize you've never been alone. That's what we got to realize. God does not abandon people. I know the witnesses taught that too.
Oh man,
they taught that. They preach that,
Especially if you sin. It's like same with my church too. If you sinned, broke the Sabbath, didn't keep a holy day. I don't know, you didn't do what you're told. You wore makeup when you were not supposed to be wearing makeup. Oh my God, the craziest things. You guys, you're loved, okay? Yep. You are loved, and me and Dan love you.
Yes,
and,
we do.
We really do. You can't make us not love you. I don't even care what you could possibly tell me that you've done wrong. I assure you, I would not love you anymore.
And I've either done it or thought about it. I had a lady tell me that one time. She says, "You can tell me what's wrong, what's going on with you, And she says, I promise I've either done it or I've thought about doing it.
Yeah.
And so I told her, and she started laughing like hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Had to do with masturbation, and she was, oh God, I'm like, and it was kind of funny, but it's not funny when you're in your head with a bunch of programs, religious programs, Jehovah's Witness programming, and I'll never forget the witnesses. It says, if your eye's making you stumble, tear it out.
Yeah.
I mean, at times you contemplate stuff like that.
I know, we knew a guy who actually was trying to do that, and he had to be taken to, his brothers had to take him to the mental ward.
Yeah.
They were
He
witnesses.
was in the bathroom trying to pull his eyes out.
Yeah.
Because he felt so guilty. And there was another scripture, it said, pummel your body and lead as a slave. Beat yourself up, is what it's saying. And knock yourself around, and you might as well kill yourself.
Yeah, Catholics will do that stuff too. They flog themselves
because you've got a kind of a life sentence of sexual nature to balance out and control the rest of your life. So you'd be beating yourself to death every day, And so anyway, we just wanted to share that with you guys.
Yep.
You still want to say anymore? All right. Well, we love you guys, and you can contact us anytime.
Yep.
You can go to Facebook, Life After Religion. What's your site, Angela?
Angela's Inspirations. Is that the one?
Angela's Inspirations on Facebook, and you can go into Messenger. You can write us. You can call us there. You can call us in Messenger.
Life After Religion Facebook as well, guys.
Yes.
Life After Religion, and then our email address, if you ever need, is myprodigaljourneys@gmail.com. myprodigal journeys JOURNEYS.com. Okay, so you can get a hold of us that way too, and on YouTube, send a little comment if you could, say call me or something, or email us and give us your phone number and we'll call you. Okay. Anyway, I think that's about it. And we've written some books. Okay, if you're interested and you think they might help you, it's Dan's Journey Out of the Witnesses, Eyewitness, the shocking insider story of Jehovah's Witness, and it is a shocking story for sure. And he wrote Surrender. Maybe this is a time that you need to surrender, which can be your key to inside of your heart here that God's trying to touch and reach. And then Awakening from Unconscious Resentment. I wrote it. I got it done in January. And it's learning to uncover the hidden saboteurs that are hindering your life and your relationships and all of that. Yeah. So that might help you. And then also too, I think I want to mention this one too. It's Secret Brainwashing Techniques of Jehovah's Witnesses. I think this one is only digital, only on Amazon for $2.99, but 5 steps to escaping the web of JW indoctrination. So if you are feeling like you need to get the hooks out, maybe that might be of use to you. So we wanted to just offer those things. You can get them all dirt cheap on Amazon in the digital format. Otherwise, we try to put it as low as Amazon pretty much will let us go. So anyway, well, we love you.
All right.
And we wish you the very, very best. And just remember, you are loved by God. The one who made you loves you. And we found that out, personal experience, when we both thought God hated us. So this is experiential talking in here.
That's right.
Okay.
All right.
Over and out.
Talk to you soon.
Good night.
Good night.